Ms. Lewis, thank you very much for waking up to talk to us. Firstly, I want to start with the whistleblowers. You commending them for coming forward in the face of widespread corruption. The question is, are more and more people coming forward to report these cases? And in your view, what's motivating them, do you think?
Well, I think more and more people are coming forward, and what is motivating them is a combination of increasing outrage, for which I think we have to be very thankful. If people accepted that this was a way of life that they could do nothing about, then we'd, as in some countries, we'd be in real trouble. I think, in the post-Zuma administration as well, there is maybe a sense that something will actually be done about these reports. That's a bit of a long time coming, but yes, I think that combination of things is what is encouraging people to report. And of course, corruption is the headline news everywhere all the time, and the daily experience of so many people.
Let's talk about the worrying findings of this report, therefore. You say for the first time it reveals that corruption within the police has overtaken many other sectors.
Yeah.
How bad is the situation?
It's very bad. And I should say that, but I don't say this, that we should take comfort in it, in that in most countries, the police are reported to be the institution that members of the public believe is most corrupt. And when you think about it, it's obvious why that should be. If you believe in the old statement that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, the police have an unusual degree of power at their hands to abuse. But of course, the implications of police corruption are much more severe than in anywhere else, because, not only does it undermine the police, but it undermines everywhere else where corruption is happening and where attempts are being made to tackle it. So it's a very serious situation.
What's driving it, though, David? Because I think that's probably what people would want to find out. What's driving it, and importantly also, who does the public turn to then to report corruption?
Well, what's driving it, I think, is power, and when power is there to be abused, it gets abused. I think the police have never sort of overcome, in many ways, the legacy of a police service, and as it was then called, a police force that was not there to help people but to oppress people. And, there are a variety of other factors. Very, very poor leadership in the recent past. I mean, some of the crime for which we're experiencing, a lot of it, is a direct consequence of what happened to the Crime Intelligence Division of the police, to the Hawks, which were severely poorly led. That probably is the major factor, actually.
Two quick questions, David, before we wrap our conversation. The other sectors here that you mentioned are schools, the health sector, and of course, local government. Is the graph doing the same upward trend?
Yes, the reporting is doing the same upward trend, and I think the reporting reflects the reality. I mean, our focus over the next couple of years is going to be on policing and public health. I mean, and, our model, because our model relies on people reporting experiences of corruption to us, we hear a lot about the sort of daily experiences of people. The people who have to pay the security guard to get into the queue to have their prescription filled at a public hospital, or the police who are colluding with the drug dealers in a particular residential area. And, we hear a lot of those kind of reports, not only the big Eskom Transnet stories. And, everyday lives are hugely impacted upon by this conduct, particularly where the police are concerned.
Final question. Corruption in private institutions or in the private sector. Are you able to give us anything on that front?
Yeah, it has been a feature of the last couple of years, how many, blue chip leading listed companies have been engaged in corruption that not only not only is this often corruption in relation to their work in the public sector, but it's corruption that has destroyed pension funds, and most corruption happens at the interface between the public and the private. You know, even if it's between a traffic cop and a driver, or between a minister and a CEO, that interface is not the exclusive area in which corruption happens, but it's the most common area in which corruption happens. And so both parties have to be treated with the same vigor, and we try our best to do that.
Thank you very much for making the time to talk to us this morning. Yeah, David Lewis from the Corruption Watch. He's an executive director there, talking to us about this 2019 analysis of corruption trends report.